So this is the new global version of the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus, and like last year, this phone slides into Xiaomi's mid to upper mid-range lineup. It's got a couple of meaningful upgrades from last year's 14 Pro Plus, and I actually do like a lot of this has to offer, and I'm gonna talk about those. But with these Redmi phones varying so much in price per country, and Xiaomi has their own sub-brand called Poco with their F7 series, and Xiaomi has their own lower tier flagship T series, this Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus in this premium mid-range segment is kind of in an awkward place. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough recommendation to a lot of people, but can be a decent offering if you do value some of the things this phone is really good at. So first things first, it's got a nice big 6.8-inch AMOLED display. It's a big size phone in the same size category as Samsung's S25 Ultra. It's high resolution, actually nicely tuned and vivid out of the box. Blacks are inky black, and it's very responsive and smooth with a 120Hz refresh rate. All of this is really nice for all kinds of content, and I had a really good time watching videos, reading text, and using social media on this display. Plus, the optical fingerprint reader is quick and easy to reach. Of course, I do prefer ultrasonic, but this is a pretty good one at this price. And for a mid-range phone, it's got surprisingly really good dual stereo speakers. Of course, it's not going to be iPhone level, but it's on par with Samsung Galaxy flagships. Compared to the S25 Ultra, it does sound a little bit more flat, but it's almost just as good, and with less treble, it actually sounds even cleaner. Definitely the biggest upgrade over last year's Note 14 Pro Plus is the much bigger 6500 mAh battery. It's actually my first time using a phone with a silicon carbon battery, and it's seriously awesome. Now my first full day setting this up, so I'm still setting up my apps, it's still not used to my usage. I still got a full 6.5 hours of screen on time with about 1.5 days of full use. But once it did get used to my usage patterns, I was getting about 7.5 to 8 hours of screen on time, which is by far the best battery life I've ever experienced on a phone so far. So this has been the best part about this whole experience. And to charge this big battery, we also get 100 watts of charging. It is a much bigger battery than before, so we're not getting 0 to 100 in 30 minutes anymore, but it's still really fast, getting me from 10 to 100% in only 50 to 55 minutes. Now with battery life this good, I really don't have any issues with that trade-off. And you also just have to respect how thin and light this phone feels, even with this big battery inside. Even though the weight isn't anything too crazy light, it feels really light thanks to the nice weight distribution and because of how big this phone is relative to its weight. It is a bit wide, but it's not too wide and feels really convenient to hold with fairly premium build quality. It's got an ever so very slightly curved Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front glass, which actually does feel really nice and smooth on the edges, and it's got fiberglass on the back. This also meets multiple IP ratings up to IP69K for extremely high dust and water resistance, and I actually do really like this glacier blue color. So great overall design, and I love that other stuff that I mentioned earlier, but there are definitely some very mid things about this phone. One thing for sure is the performance. The new Snapdragon 7S Gen 4 is actually a pretty big upgrade over last year's 7S Gen 3. It's just powerful enough to feel smooth with day-to-day performance. It actually handles multitasking pretty well. Background app management is decent. Low demanding games play well. The higher end games also run well with low settings. My experience with Genshin Impact was pretty good here with low settings. You can definitely get some light gaming done here with no issues. But even though this is a big improvement over last year, it's still not a super snappy experience, and it feels slightly sluggish with things like photo editing, changing modes in the camera, and post-processing times. And compared to Xiaomi's sub-brand Poco with their Poco F7 Pro, this performance is just kind of middling compared to that one, and they're at a pretty similar price. If you just jump up another price segment, you can enter into Xiaomi's T series, which has much better processor and it's a much more flagship phone. So basically this middling performance for the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus is just very awkward in Xiaomi's overall product lineup. Another just okay experience is HyperOS 2.0 and the general software experience. I do give them credit here for the beautiful lock screen presets and how convenient floating windows are, but a bunch of the advanced features in the Chinese version of HyperOS are still missing on the global version, like automation features, and compared to competitors, AI photo editing features are lacking, plus the app icons and the in-app designs are starting to look really outdated and doesn't look in line with the beautiful lock screen presets. Things are changing a lot in the tech industry, especially for UI design in recent months, and I feel like HyperOS needs a major major feature and design overhaul that's starting to feel a bit overdue. And last but not least, the cameras are just straight up bad. If you don't care about cameras and you just use a camera to log memories and just pictures of receipts and things like that, you won't have to worry here. But if you do care even a little bit about the cameras, this camera setup is all around pretty bad, and it might not look like it, but there's only 2 lenses here. But even then, the 8 megapixel ultra wide is super average, and that heavily advertised 200 megapixel main lens isn't that tiny of a sensor, but it's got a super slow shutter speed, very poor at capturing details, everything comes out looking really soft, there's the overexposure issues, and it's just super unreliable in low light. In perfect daylight, it can get some decent shots, but you just can't rely on it for any challenging situations. The selfie is fine for taking casual selfies, it does a bit too much smoothing my face, but yeah, you still can't rely on this for challenging situations either. So the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus has a great big display, nice stereo speakers, the battery life and charging speeds are so good, and I like how this hardware looks and feels. Now in a phone, if that's all you care about, then this is a pretty reasonable buy in a vacuum for $400 to $500. Like I said, the prices vary per region, but it's going to be around there. But unfortunately, we don't live in a vacuum. If you care about anything else beyond that, like gaming performance, then I recommend going for the Poco X7 Pro instead. Or if you care a lot more about camera quality, I say spend a bit more and get the Xiaomi 15T or the 15T Pro instead. So yeah, all in all, this is still better than basically all of Samsung's mid-range offerings, but worse than Xiaomi's other mid-range phones. So it's a very awkward middle child. Alright, so those are all my thoughts about the Redmi Note 15 Pro Plus. Let me know in the comments what you think of this phone. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys on the next video.